Dubai has grown from a trading port to a global hub for commerce, trade and transport, attracting global capital, people and ideas, emerging as the hub of the future. Man has come a long way. Technological advances have improved our daily lives. In the United Arab Emirates, the journey is far from over. The journey to a digitized life in a digitized nation is accelerating. The UAE government aims to make the country amongst the top 5 happiest countries in the world by 2021. Its UAE Digital Certificate Program, protected by cybersecurity experts Dark Matter, will dramatically improve life in the UAE by making many cumbersome and time-consuming transactions frictionless and even invisible, supporting the nation's drive to become the happiest place on earth. The Digital Certificate Program will enable a previously unimagined level of digital trust among government, businesses, citizens, residents, and visitors.
Well, there's definitely a vision for the UAE to be a competitive, safe, smart, happy nation. And although digitization is not the end goal of where we want to be as a nation, it is definitely one of the most important means of achieving those goals. When you set a digital strategy and a digital roadmap for a nation, you need to identify the most important priorities and goals. Typically, those benefits fit into 3 categories: in economic categories, in social categories, and in environmental categories.
What is a UAE Digital Certificate, and what does it do?
So a UAE Digital Certificate enables us to perform a number of transactions online. We can identify ourselves reliably to the other party who's at the other end of the transaction. The digital certificate ensures that no changes occur and ensures the integrity of the message is delivered as it was sent. And then also you can send confidentially between 2 parties. And then finally, the last service that it provides is digital signing. So this is the equivalent of a wet ink signature on paper that we're very used to in traditional business.
Using a UAE Digital Certificate will unlock almost unimaginable levels of seamless transactions, making day-to-day life in the UAE so much smoother for everyone.
Visitor to the UAE comes, they want to receive telephony services, for instance, and so they need to obtain a SIM to operate here. Typically that process today requires you to stand in line, prove who you are. It's a lengthy process and it's not really convenient. They can come to the counter, they will actually via their mobile device be able to identify themselves. They're already pre-authenticated, the payment's already occurred, the card is exchanged, and they're on their way in a matter of seconds. As they're walking out to the transport services, there can be a driver waiting who the individual can identify themselves or will be identified by the credential that's on their phone, so they can go directly to their vehicle and be immediately away from what can be long lines or queues on public transport or the taxi services that are available.
Checking in at a hotel front desk becomes a thing of the past too.
No more waiting in lines in the lobby. You can go to the elevator, you can identify with your device the floor that you need to go to, you can go directly to the room that you may actually have chosen ahead of time, and your digital certificate then allows you to open the door.
Residents can streamline their everyday life too. Even picking up prescriptions at a hospital pharmacy is a breeze.
So it typically involves a lot of authorizations, a lot of paperwork, a lot of standing in line. The advantage of the UAE Digital Certificate Program is that our citizens and residents can now skip all of that. They could march up to a kiosk within a pharmacy, identify themselves digitally, and the contents that relates to their prescription could actually be handed over immediately and they can leave.
And there are huge benefits for the business community.
Even though the UAE is recognised for the efficiency that it has in businesses being able to be set up here, it's still quite an onerous process because there are a number of legal constructs that have to be met before a business can be started. And this involves several agencies and a lot of paperwork. The UAE Digital Certificate Program will allow that paperwork to be eliminated.
But how safe is digitizing your life?
We pride ourselves on being one of those companies that are pioneering in the areas of innovative technologies in high tech in general and in cybersecurity more specifically. And that gives us the ability to, first of all, deliver to the nation some of the trust and security needs that couldn't be established from an outside entity. And it also allows us to develop bespoke technologies that are needed to help not just secure the nation, but really help the nation transform on this digitization journey. It gives us the ability to offer those services locally, prove them, develop them, innovate on them, bring original ideas around the adjacencies of those technologies, and then use that as a launching pad to offer it regionally and then offer it globally.
That's why Dark Matter has helped the UAE to develop the entire infrastructure for the UAE Digital Certificate System from the ground up. This provides unparalleled protection. The UAE Digital Certificate Program is marking a new dawn for a country continuously embracing the future.
The digitization journey will help us eventually live in a place where it's very, very easy and seamless to interact. Whether you communicate, whether you transact, whether you buy, whether you sell, whether you work. And then ultimately, the goal is to have the UAE transform into one of the happiest, smartest, most connected, and safest nations in the world.
The United Arab Emirates has transformed from a country dependent on oil exports to a diversified economy with creativity and innovation at its core. The country is attracting global capital, people, and ideas, emerging as the hub of the future.